This is the History of Grading, brought to you by Faculty Development at California State University, Northridge. Where did the A through F scale come from? As an instructor, you might have thought about this repeatedly when you're preparing your courses, and even when you're in the middle of grading. We're constantly finding ourselves reevaluating how and why we grade. This presentation will go over the history of grading and the origins of the A through F grading scale. The earliest forms of grading happened in Harvard around 1646, and they were based on exit exams taken before earning a degree. The first official record of a grading system surfaces in 1785 at Yale, where seniors were graded into optimi, best, second optimi, second best, inferiores, less good, and pejores, worse. Letter grades did not gain popularity until the 1940s, and around 1971, only 67% of primary and secondary schools in the United States used letter grades. It still took some time before the A through F system was standardized. With schools growing and spreading rapidly, coordination between schools became more important, and with it, grades became one of the primary means of communication between institutions. This meant grades needed to have meaning not just within an institution, but also to distant third parties. In 1884, some grading systems included A, B, C, D, and E. The letter E was a failing grade at less than 75%, compared to our current system of D at 69% and F at 59%. Mount Holyoke added an F grade to the scale in 1898 and adjusted the percentages relating to the other letters, which appears as the initial origin of the A through F system. As written in Making the Grade, A History of the A through F Marking Scheme, the history of grades reflects the interplay between the work of the classroom and society at large. As the Little Red Schoolhouse of the frontier became increasingly linked to the great universities of the East and the labor markets of the continent, grades were required to serve a growing list of functions. As schools moved away from local and individualized communication, from teachers to students and parents, the focus became on schools using organized external communication. And by extension, this meant the external organization of communities as the population grew. This also meant developing a common language, so to speak, which gave way to the traditional A through F scale, and at the center, the idea of competition as motivation. The function of grades came as a means of educational quantification and sorting students by arbitrary ideas of standards. Even in the early 19th century, teachers remarked that policies were being implemented by policymakers without the input of teachers, and they also questioned the value of competition as motivation. Overall, teacher concerns were overlooked in favor of establishing a national grading system and the ideas of standardization. Grading systems were inconsistent, especially since there is not much scientific evidence in its origins. Ultimately, grades remain subjective and largely used for standardization in college admittance. As we consider traditional grading, the next step will be to ask ourselves, how can we adopt more equity-minded grading practices? Thank you for watching.